Hello and welcome back. In this video we're going to be talking about RageSpline primitives. So to access our primitives we're going to just want to click on the Project tab, and then from here we're going to want to expand our RageSpline folder. So just click here, and under here we're going to have a number of folders. We're primarily concerned right now just for this prefabs folder, so go ahead and expand that. And then here we're going to see our primitives. So all our primitives are basically our building blocks for our objects and our environment. So we would use them just to create everything else. So go ahead and just grab something like this circle and drag it out into our scene. Now our first problem will be, for some reason our object did not show up in our camera. Now, unless you've been using Unity for a while, the answer to this or reason behind this might not be too apparent. Now, if we click on our Hierarchy tab and click on our main camera, you'll notice that the camera is set to -10 in the z-axis. And if we click back on this object, you'll notice that the object is set at something like a -100 something. So the reason that we can't see this object in our camera or game view is because that object is behind the camera. So to fix this, we would just click the object, which we already have selected, and we'd click in our Z axis and just put in something that is greater than -10. So we'll just use, for example, -9. And you'll see the second that I did that, the object now shows up in our game view. Another way to fix this issue, I'll just move this object over slightly, is if we go to our Project tab and grab an object and then drag it into our Hierarchy tab. Now here's our second problem. When I do that, notice it will not go into the tab. This is because I'm not able to go from one tab to another. So what I need to do to resolve this is grab this tab and maybe bring it slightly lower. So now I have two tabs, one on top of the other. So if I take one of these objects, let's say this circle again, and I drag it down here into this hierarchy area, let go, you'll notice that the object now is in both views. Now why does it work in one way versus the other? It's because when I'm dragging from this Project tab into the hierarchy, it's getting positioned at the origin, or, well, actually it was in the origin of 0, 0, 0 before I moved it. And when you drag, it's basically putting that object in the position of where it was when it was first created, which was this origin. So if these are two different workflows, so you can just grab an object, drag it here, select it, and then change it to a number that would make it show up in front of the camera. Or what you could do is just grab an object and drag it into this hierarchy and then let go. And it will also show up now in the camera view as well without having to adjust that Z. There is not one way to do it correctly. There is no correct way. It's just whatever workflow you feel comfortable using. So let's go ahead and we'll just delete these other objects, leave one of these here. And what I'll do is I'll just to make things easier to see, I'm going to expand this scene view. So to expand any of these tabs, all we need to do is just select in that area and press our space bar, and that will make it maximize to the full screen. And to go back, we just press space bar again. So I'll press space bar. Now we have an easier time looking at our object. So basic RageSpline is made up of any number, well, actually a few number of components. Here we have of course our points, and our points have handles. So these points, you'll see what happens. We can move them around, and they're going to change the shape of this object. And if we grab these handles, you'll notice that it makes it fatter and expands away from that point. Or we can bring them towards that point and it will almost pinch at that point. So what if you, for example, wanted to have a nice sharp corner, not this almost sharp corner? All you would need to do is select a point, and you can see it's selected by yellow, and then we would hit our N key like Nancy, and I would now be able to move these handlebars independently of each other. And you'll notice that this point went from a circle now to a square shape. So using this method, you would be able to now create almost a perfect right degree angle. Now I'm not going to go over that here. I'll go over that in the following videos, but it gives you an idea how you could create a right angle if you wanted. Now the next thing would be how do we add a point here? We only have a few. What if I want more points? All you need to do is double click anywhere on the line. So if I double click right here, you'll notice I have another point created. I can double click down here. I've just created another point. Now if I don't like one of these points, all I need to do is just select them and then hit my delete key. Select it and hit my delete key. So that's the basics behind these RageSplines. And in our next video, we're going to continue on using these primitives and use them so that we can explain everything under this inspector tab. Okay, see you then.